Hello and welcome to Lower League Lingo. We've made it to the third episode, which I think is just absolutely amazing, really. And there's still people that want to watch, so that's great news because that is what we are looking for. As you can see, we've all managed to assemble again like the Avengers that we are. I don't know which Avenger you would be if you were an Avenger. That's an interesting one. Have a think about that. We might come back to that at the end of the show and sort of see which Avenger you think you might be. So there we go. But we are going to dive straight into it, boys, I think, because we've got plenty to talk about. As ever, you have sent through, like the little legends you are, which clubs and matches you wanted to talk about. And so, by the wonders of modern technology, here we go. That should be up there now. It is lovely. So, as you can see, we are kicking off in the Northern Premier. I don't know why I do this all the time. I always go from north to south. It's a very interesting manner that I seem to have here. But we are looking at the Northern Premier to begin with. And, of course, it's at the new Buckhead Stadium. We've got Wolves against Nottingham Forest there. And, again, the purpose of this show, we've said it time and time again, but we're trying to put a spotlight onto some of these teams. Now, by no stretch of the imagination, the three of us are quite good at knowing a little bit about what's going on in our region. But let's be absolutely clear, we're not necessarily experts insofar as I've never been to the southwest of England to watch a football match. I've been there to, spend time like Cornwall and things like that. But we need to be clear on that one, that this is about throwing a spotlight out and trying to get some stories out for what has happened in women's football across the lower league. So it may not always be a case that we're sitting here and really dissecting a match. It could well just be that we're putting a bit of a spotlight on and going, blimey, what a match this was. So could be that, or of course we could be going properly in depth. You just have to wait and see what you're given, really. It's a bit like that when your mum used to make you dinner. Get what you're given and you like it. So there we go. So Wolves against Forest on this occasion, as you can see, 449 people turning up for it, which you would expect. It's a big old match, but Wolves had a bit of a drubbing going on there. Gareth, this was one of the ones that you chose to highlight. I mean, apart from the fact that it's an absolutely mad score, what made this one catch your eye?
It just really shocked me as a fixture that we, for the last couple of weeks, have said that these are two teams that are going to be there or thereabouts coming into the season. And I think it's one of the first opportunities we've had all year to see two of those four juggernauts in the Northern Premier go up against each other. And it didn't go how I thought it would go. I'm surprised that Forest have, frankly, battered Wolves on their own turf. I think Forest, throughout their squad, have got some real quality. They've got players in there with years of championship experience. Melissa Johnson there getting a hat trick is a prime example of that. They've got players in there with Freya Thomas and Molly Green, who have won the championship before. So they absolutely have the pedigree to do well this year. They've absolutely shown it at the weekend by taking on the nearest rival, and they got ahead in the 24th minute and they never looked back. They were 5-0 up before Wolves even got a consolation goal, so it wasn't as if it was even particularly close. They just got their foot on the throttle and went for it, really. And just a surprise. It wasn't. I was looking through games and I'd picked two games to talk about, and then I got to these two teams, probably not teams I know a huge amount about. I've not been to watch either side really for a while, but yeah, what a statement from Forest about their title intentions, and without giving too much away for what my match to watch this week is, it doesn't get any easier for Wolves next week either. So definitely want to watch, and Wolves need to bounce back from this because that's the wrong end. They're on the wrong end of one there.
Really is the wrong end of one. You're not kidding. And I mean, I've had the privilege, I think, of watching Nottingham Forest women. I was literally just about to have a little look and see. But I'm sure I went to see them in the playoff match when that was happening. I think it was the last playoff match that happened between the Northern Premier and Southern Premier to get to the Championship. And I'm sure it was Forest against Watford. I'm sure that's what it was. But they played incredibly well for us. They're a good side. So it was maybe not beyond the realms of expectation for them to do well, but to bop them quite as much as they have is quite something there. And as you can see from the Northern Premier, it's made a little bit of a difference for them there. Forest, Burnley and Rugby Borough, good old Rugby Borough, still up there with the three teams that have managed to maintain a 100% record and a goal difference that is looking quite tasty up the top there as well in terms of how together that is. Equally, you get down to the bottom three, exactly the same situation with Stourbridge staying out of it at the moment due to a slightly better goal difference than Sporting Calcer and Halifax. But a lot happening there, and Wolves will be disappointed because they could have been the team to have gone up to 9 points there. That's a little bit of ground lost in the title race there in the Northern Prem. But we're also going to show Division 1 North for two reasons. One, because I just felt like updating it, and then when I did, realised I'd have to do that for virtually every other league, which was a little bit depressing. So as I've done it, we're going to look at it. Why not? So as you can see, no 100% records in this one anymore. Durham Sestria, Huddersfield Town and Middlesbrough all with a draw and 2 wins. And York City not looking that much better for them. And actually, Gareth, you did York and Chorley was York was going to be one of your matches that you were going to pick, wasn't it? So do you want to have a quick 30 seconds on that match?
Yeah, they played Norton Stockton Ancients in the National League Cup determining round, and certainly looked like a game that, as a neutral, would have been incredible to watch. As a fan of either of those two sides, potentially life-shortening, as York ran out 6-5 winners to progress to the next round of the Cup. They then followed that up by getting beat at the weekend. So swings and roundabouts, take the rough with the smooth and all that. Whilst Norton went and had a great result against Huddersfield, I think it was that they drew against. But what's interesting, just quickly on this league table, I know it's super early days, only 3 games gone, but neither of the 2 promoted sides in that relegation zone, and actually AFC Fylde were relegated from the Northern Premier Division last year and yet to pick up a win. So that is something to keep an eye on. And Cheadle Stingers, from representing the Northwest Regional League, look like they're flying. So yeah, it's an interesting league. There's some stories developing, and that's what we want on the show.
Very true indeed. I can confirm I have managed to check it thanks to my rather wonderful Footballogy app. I did indeed see Nottingham Forest, and it was against Watford. When you get to my age, you start questioning, have I got the right 2 teams together? It was quite a while ago. It was a year. But yes, it was a very good game, and it was indeed 1-0 to Watford. So there we go. I knew it was a tight game. Very proud of myself. I'm going to give myself a pat on the back a little bit later. But no time for that. As you can see here, we've got Boldmere, St Michael's and Stourbridge. We've just mentioned them in the league. But, John, you decided to choose this from the WNL Cup determining round, which happened during the midweek. As you can see, 2 goal scorers for you. We don't know who scored for Boldmere. I did scour the internet, by which I mean I checked both Stourbridge and Boldmere's social media and couldn't find who the goal scorer was, and it wasn't on full time. So I tried my best on that one, I'm afraid, guys, but it didn't quite happen. Maybe you can tell us a bit more about it. Boldmere and Stourbridge. Why did you pick this one, John?
I think the goal scorer, by the way, could have been Ruparelia. So there was 2 players that kind of ran away. I was at the game, and there's 2 players that kind of was right next to each other, ran away, tapping each other. So we think it was Ruparelia, who's had a great game anyway. But yeah, I was at this game, and I do love a weekday under night. So I was just speaking to you off camera. You know, a weekday or week evening is something slightly different, especially under the lights, and a cup game as well. So I want to say it's a local derby. There's 45 minutes between them, but there's still a bit of history between them. They played twice in pre-season last year, and then obviously the year before. So they do know each other through pre-season friendlies. But more importantly, our new manager used to manage Bolmere. One of our strikers used to play for Bolmere. So there's a little side story there. And yeah, I think for me the highlight was the Daisy Clements goal. So Daisy Clements was one of Stourbridge survivors last year. She's one of the few that did stay, and she played absolutely brilliantly in this game. Usually plays out wide as one of the wide forwards, but this time completely differently. She played more of a centre attacking midfielder and found lots of space between the defence and midfielders and scored from way out the box. It was on the socials. I'm not too sure if it's still there now, but yeah, fantastic efforts by her. And Stourbridge did really well, attacking it in so many different ways. You know, they don't get much chance to attack in Tier 3. It's a tough league, so when you play against a Tier 4 team, you will see a different kind of playing style. And then unfortunately, on the 44th, 45th minute, Stourbridge just conceded. Massive mistake at the back. Nobody cleared it, and then Bolmere equalised just on the stroke of half time. A few substitutes. So at half time, Freya Clark, brand new signing for Stourbridge. She only signed that week, never seen it before. Came on and scored within the first 3 or 4 minutes. Fantastic. What looks like it's going to be a fantastic addition, completely different to all of our other strikers. And that's the way it ended. Bolmere looked fairly strong. They didn't have Formiston, who's one of their favourite players, and also one of their strikers, Billingsley, came on as a sub. But generally, both sides started the game really strong with their starting 11. And the starting 11 that started for Stourbridge on Thursday continued to play on Sunday as well. So definitely a game that A. Clements for Stourbridge wanted to win, and he did.
Is that the sort of result you would have expected? I mean, Stourbridge obviously struggling a little bit in in Tier 3 at the minute, but
yeah.
it's
I think that's about right. Look, I don't think Stourbridge are going to blow away too many Tier 4 teams, but ultimately, Bolmere also aren't at the very top of their league. They're not flying at the moment, so they're doing okay, but they're not like ripping the Tier 4 apart. So I think 2-1 away from home is about right, and then things did slow down with about 20 minutes to go. At least 5 substitutions came on. But to be honest, I wouldn't even say that weakened them. They just played slightly differently, so it did kind of fizzle away at the end. But yeah, 2-1 is about right.
Absolutely, and that will take them through, obviously, to the next round. So something there to look forward to for Stourbridge fans as it stands. And of course, as we were looking at Boldmere, they are, of course, as John was just saying, not exactly flying. They're in 8th place as it stands. Only Loughborough Lightning and Peterborough United with the 100% record being maintained. Meanwhile, Worcester City and Lincoln City, it's not looking great as it stands, especially for Lincoln City if they continue to concede the number of goals that they are. The Southern Premier, we updated that one as well. There's no game chosen from the Southern Premier today, so again, that is just for you guys to peruse. You can pause the video if you want and see the whole thing. But in my very best, Jeff Stelling, obviously Exeter City and Ipswich, top of the league, still 7 points each. No 100% record left there. And MK Dons, it doesn't look good for them at all, I'm afraid. They are hemorrhaging goals as it stands at the moment. And our biggest hope, I think, for MK Dons is that they can pull themselves together and get used to the pace and the strength of the league, really, and get themselves to a position where they will be able to compete a little bit, because otherwise it is not going to be a pleasant season for the MK Dons. But we do have over here, and it is over to me now. I put this as my match to watch in the last one, and so of course I went to go and have a look, and boys, what a game this is. I told you these two teams are absolutely going to boss the league, I think, in terms of the Southwest Division 1, which is where they both are. But look at that for a game. 150 people turning up to watch Moneyfields against AFC Bournemouth. And heck of a game. Megan Wood kicking them off after just 15 minutes. But again, look at the entertainment value you'll get in there. Bournemouth equalise in the 45th minute. Then literally a goal within seconds of each other for Beth Burgess and Lucy Cooper, which is mad. Sends the game into extra time. Megan Wood in the 94th minute from Moneyfields makes it 3-2. But Katie James just 4 minutes later equalises them just when you think that's probably going to go to penalties this one. Shannon Albury pops in the 118th minute and just puts them ahead. And we've all watched these games, boys. We've all seen them where you have these last minute goals that happen. You can just imagine the 150 people there, and people try and tell me that women's football is not as exciting as men's, and it's just balderdash. It really is, because I don't care who you are. If you are sat there watching that football match, you are not sitting there and not getting caught up in the emotion, the passion, the back and forth nature that's going on. That is an absolutely crazy game. And for Moneyfields, at this point, you'd be sitting there thinking, this is advantage Moneyfields. Now they've got the cock of the walk bit going on, haven't they? They're all big, they're all there. But absolutely not, because my second match that I've chosen for today was literally a couple of days later. They played twice in a week. And in the league game, this is what's happened. Shannon Albury has literally just turned up straight away, scored again, literally started the game where she left off in the last one. But then look again at the drama. 84 minutes of football played. And again, if you're Moneyfields, you're wandering around that game thinking, I've nailed this. That's it. Brilliant. We've knocked him out of the cup. We're going up to the top of the league. We're going to give us a good 3-point gap over Bournemouth. Girls, brilliant. No. Ellie Stripple turns up with 4 minutes to go, levels the game. But even at that point, Moneyfields must be thinking, all right, the draw in the league for this one, superb. But Lucy Cooper, she won't have none of it. She understood the assignment. You did it to us in the last game. We're doing it to you in this one. And up she pops, 92nd minute, injury time again. What amazes me about this one is 26 less people. How did those 26 people that went to the first game not go, bloody hell, I've got to go to this game. This is going to be amazing. They didn't. What's wrong with you people? You must have had prior engagements, because 100% I'd been off buying tickets for this one. So, yeah, the Division 1 Southwest is just as absolutely mad, that game. And so, again, this is why we do a match to watch, because I think it's vital for people to see that and hopefully get into it. So we've been able to update the table. First time we've been able to show you this. And AFC Bournemouth, obviously, with the 100% record, thanks to Lucy Cooper's 92nd minute goal. Swindon Town jumped up into second there. Moneyfields now just off the pace by only 3 points. Let's be fair. There is a lot still to go on that one. But this is one of those games, one of those leagues rather, where not all of the games are being played at the moment. And you'll find at this level, this tends to happen quite a bit. It's going to be rare that we come through, especially as we start getting towards Christmas and we start getting frozen pitches and all that sort of thing. It depends on where you're playing, whether you're on a 3G, whether you're on a 4G, whether you're on a 5G, whether you're on a proper pitch. All of those things will make a massive difference. And already it's showing here. Worthing and Southampton were in both at the bottom of the table, but they only played one game each, and that was one that they lost. So already with a couple of games in hand, and again, the crazy thing about that is they go and win both of those, and they would be up in joint third. And of course, Portishead and Bristol Rovers both on 2 as well. So just mad, absolutely crazy. So we barely covered Division 1 Southwest, but my eyes are going to be firmly on what's going on there, because that just sounds going to be nuts, absolutely bonkers. Speaking of absolutely bonkers, let's go over here and we're back over to John. You can decide for yourself who and what in particular I was saying was bonkers there. Put your answers on a postcard, see what you think. But you've gone for this one. It's nice to see you've dropped down into tier, I'm going to 5 again on this one. And it's the West Midlands Regional WFL first appearance. But that's probably because it was the first game. Talk us through it, John.
Yeah, so let me quickly paint the picture. I know we're limited for time, but let me paint the picture. So over the summer, Kidderminster Harriers, they announced a new era for the club. So the women's section had a new director of women's football, which they never had before. They announced a fantastic manager who was probably the best manager that was available at the time, who brought in a load of backroom staff, brought in a load of new players. And I remember turning up to the ground and somebody recognised me because I got my Kidderminster top on, called me over and they said, is it true that Kidderminster have just got Stourbridge's manager and he's took all the players with them? And I said, well, not quite, but close, but close. And I said, you got to really enjoy this game. You know, you got to have a load of tier 4 winners on show, and it's going to be a good game for you to watch. 2 hours later, they wave at me as I leave the ground because Shifnal won Kiddie Harriers 5-1. So unfortunately, I was just left there scratching my head, and it was a game that Shifnal thoroughly deserved to win. Kiddie did go 1-0 up, great goal by Eloise Harris, but unfortunately that's where it kind of ended. Shifnal got the equaliser 1-1, and then you talk about moments within games and moments that change games. Amber Lawrence hit the crossbar when it was 1-1. Could have made it 2-1 to Kiddie. Unfortunately, 30 seconds after, they went up the other end, and Shifnal got that second goal, so that was 2-1. And then it kind of just went backwards from there for Kiddie Harriers. A couple of players who used to play for Kiddie played for Shifnal on that day, and one of them, I believe, scored as well. So yeah, it was a game that Shifnal thoroughly deserved. But on Kiddie, I picked them up there for a reason. You know, I'm happy enough to say what I've just said because they will be up there. Maybe not winning the league, which I don't think the club ever expected them to in their first season of this new era. But they do need to. I suppose they just need to get to grips with a little bit, get everyone together, and just focus on the mentality more than the actual talent that they've got.
Absolutely. I struggle to disagree with anything you've just said there, John. And just so that people can see it, that is the league as it stands. So you can get to know some of the other teams that are in there. I've got to be honest, writing some of these out, sometimes you sit there and go, oh, that should potentially be a big club. And then sometimes you look at them and go, where on earth is that? And that is absolutely the case for the first 3 teams in this one, in terms of Coundon Court, it could be Camden Court. I've no idea. What is it, John?
Camden Court, yeah, based in Coventry.
Lovely, thank you. A bit of translation. Maybe we need subtitles for these ones. So Camden Court, Whiteham, Shifnal Town. But the rest of them, again, Alvechurch, not a clue. So it's good. This is going to be really good. And this is the absolute beauty is that we'll all learn about all of these leagues together, not just us 3, but the people that are watching and everything. So really, really good to see. But lots of teams there, as you can see. Alvechurch and Port Vale drew. And again, we've got eyes. You can see what's gone on with that one. Gaza, it's over to you, my friend. Into the Northwest Women's Regional Football League. And again, you have picked Mancunian Unity. I wonder why. Just the 8 goals there against Curzon Ashton. Why did this one catch your eye, sir?
So Mancunian Unity, up at this point, were waiting for their first win at Tier 5. Curzon Ashton had been flying unbeaten, and then this happened. And I thought it'd be a close game. I didn't think Mancunian Unity had really showed what they were about in the opening 3 games. They played some good sides as well. Darwin are a strong side. Wythenshawe are a strong side. And sometimes that's the way things can go. But yeah, to go and respond like this midweek is impressive. And I think what impresses me even more is I think often in games like this, at this level, you can have 1 or 2 players that you depend on for goals. So if there's an 8-0 thriller, you can often see one player getting 4 or 5 of those goals. But to see 6 players on the score sheet an 8-0 win. Kersnall's had 2 players sent off as well. So there was a lot going on in this game. And I think it took a lot of people by surprise. I think we knew Unity were better than their early results had suggested, but I didn't expect this for a moment. Unity then also, just kind of quickly to carry on Sunday. So this was midweek. This was Thursday night. On Sunday, they followed that up and beat also unbeaten Bury 4-1. I think that finished. So they've kick-started their season now with 2 great results against 2 sides that were flying. So kind of cat amongst the pigeons type thing, and really shaking the league up, which is great to see.
It absolutely is. And that's, again, all part of the stories that we're talking about. And as you can see here, you guys over in the Northwest just want to finish by Christmas, by the looks of things here. You've got 4 games played. Some of them played 5 games. Wythenshawe obviously joint top along with Curzon Ashton there with just the 10 points for you all. And then obviously as you get down towards the bottom, I feel like I spelled that wrong. That's going to be West Didsbury and Chorlton, isn't it? Not Crowton.
Yeah, not Crowton.
I knew I'd make one mistake somewhere. But there we go. So they are currently bottom. Can you explain to everyone, just in case they're not sure, why there's only 11 teams in the North Regional?
Firstly, just on fixtures, the league, what they wanted to do is play Sunday, Wednesday to start the season. Last year, lots of postponements and things over the winter. Ended up having to curtail the League Cup, which we don't want to do again. So in order to allow enough times for teams to have good FA Cup runs to get the League Cups done, we've kind of front loaded a load of fixtures. So we've, like you say, some teams have got 5 in the book already. So 25% of the way through their season, but it allows us time to have those cup competitions. In terms of why there's only 11 teams, at the beginning of the season, Blackburn Community, who finished second last year, withdrew from the competition. They withdrew from the competition for a number of things, player departures, but a real kind of struggle to recruit players. What they did is I believe they still have the reserves team, which they've kept running. That was the intention, at least. And they assisted their first team players that were left to move and find other clubs. So, it's been something that has happened previously. It was Merseyrail last year, unfortunately, folded. Blackburn Community this year, unfortunately, has folded. So I think it's worth saying, whilst it's not kind of a happy end to the show, that yes, women's football is absolutely booming, and yes, we are seeing massive increases in popularity as a result of the Lionesses, Euros, World Cup, WSL, TV deals, etc. But that's going to take a long time to feed into these regional leagues, I think, because yes, there are more women and girls playing football, but at the same time, it's going to take a while, first of all, for the younger girls to progress and develop. And also, without wanting to sound too brutal, it's going to take a while for the quality of those players to improve as well, to be able to meet the standard that a lot of these clubs are wanting to achieve, because clubs are wanting to become more professional in how they're run. They're wanting to push on for higher leagues. There's more kind of funding and support in the game, and I think there's a little mismatch at the moment with being able to recruit the quality of players that is going to be able to push on, especially when you see how that quality is trickling down into the National League, Premier divisions. We said that Forest have signed Championship players. Burnley have got former WSL players. I'm sure Wolves and Rugby Borough have got real quality there as well. So it's trickling down. It's just taking a bit of time. but we will see those benefits. It's just like I said earlier with York City, sometimes you've got to take the rough with the smooth before we properly see those pathways that have been developing really come to fruition.
No, absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. And the championship, of course, has just the 11 teams this season, with Reading dropping down into tier 5. I think they went into, didn't they? So lots happening across the country, and it's just a very interesting one. I do find this weird because it will mean that there is one team each week that's going to get a bye week effectively, so they get a bit of a rest. And it always reminds me of the NFL when that happens.
We had that this week. So Withenshaw didn't play this week, and everybody else did. It was weird. I didn't know what to do with my Sunday. I was just kind of sat refreshing X, being like, what's going on? Trying to figure out what's happening around the league. It was crazy. I didn't like it. I'd much rather be out there and playing football. Well, not playing football, but doing social media for football.
Absolutely that. Well, there you go. That is the main part of our show done. But as you know, here at Awful Wins Football on Lower League Lingo, we like to give you a match to look out for. If you're like me, missed it, Meg, then you're going to pick a really great game that just gets played twice and blows you away so much that you go, actually, I want to talk about that. John, we'll start with you, as soon as you're there. What match have you decided to choose for our viewers to look at?
I'm trying not to repeat teams, so I'm going to go for two teams that I haven't spoken about so far, and I'm going for Rugby versus Stoke. I can't remember which way round, who's at home and who's not. But for me, this is just such an interesting, what could end up very interesting, because if results go a specific way, Stoke could be in the relegation area after 4 games, which is ludicrous. They've played Burnley, played Forest, and now they're playing Rugby. Three massive teams, and they could quite easily lose all 3, and that's no disgrace at all. And Stoke could end up being down there, even though they might tip to finish 4th this season, ahead of Wolves, who might finish 5th. So, yeah, just one to look out for, because I think Stoke are going to be a very good team. However, potentially after this weekend, they could be right the way down there. Rugby, you can see how well they've started, 9 out of 9, just like Burnley and Forest. And surely they've got the hardest fixture this weekend. But it's going to be a very exciting watch with the top and the bottom of the league.
Interesting. Gareth, which one have you gone for?
Yeah, so following on from that, I think it goes quite nicely with John's pick. Mine is Burnley versus Wolves. I said that things could go from bad to worse for Wolves. And after coming up against Forest, they now come up against a really strong Burnley side. Who will absolutely be looking to match Forest's statement and go for it themselves as well. So, that's my pick. And I think after this weekend, we'll see what Wolves are made of for sure. We'll have an idea about what Forest and Burnley are made of. And if John's right about Stoke being the 4th best side in that league, we'll know what Rugby can do as well. So, an interesting weekend ahead.
Very good. And for me, here down south, I had a little look. I had a look at the Southern Premier, and nothing really piqued me interest. I didn't sit there and go, "Oh, there's a big game going there." So I went and had a look in Southeast Division 1, Southwest Division 1. I mean, they're all good games, but there's none there that deserve the big one. So then I just had a little look at my league, the Eastern Region Women's Football League Tier 5, and there it was, the star match to be seen. So we're in a situation in the Eastern Region at the moment. We've got 2 teams at the top of the league, both on 9 points. You've got Royston Town and you've got St Albans City. Now, a little bit of a backstory for them. Royston finished 4th last season. St Albans City finished 10th. They were only 7 points off the relegation zone, and they were not having the best of seasons. Now, they made a couple of changes, not a huge amount of changes. Some have left, a couple have come in, and they won their first 3 games. So Royston beat Luton 3-2, which is quite a big result there. Luton, as I said, the favourites for the league this season. They battered Cambridge City 10-0. We just beat them 6-2 this weekend. So big result there. And then 2-0 against Watford Development Ladies. Now, St Albans, on the other hand, 6-0 against Needham Market, 1-0 against Watford Development, and then 4-1 against Bowers and Pitsea. And the two teams come face to face this weekend. So for me, absolutely massive game. When you're sitting there talking about huge games that you're really looking forward to seeing, that for me is the one. St Albans, you would imagine, have the slight advantage because of the fact it's at home. But for me, that's the one we're going to be looking for. That's the one I'm going to be refreshing X for when I should be tweeting, because let's be honest, that is going to be an absolute doozy. And we're either going to be in a situation where they're in 10 and it gives everybody else a chance to catch up, or one of those teams has got the opportunity to do what Real Bedford's done beforehand, and of course AFC Sudbury as well, and just really start to win their first 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 matches and cause a real problem for the Chase Impact. So cannot wait to see what happens in that game. Go on, Gareth. I can see you.
Just one last thing that I forgot to mention about the Burnley Wolves game. It's at Turf Moor as well. So we're into an international break now, which means that there are, I don't like saying men's stadiums, but there are the club stadiums available where the men usually play. And Turf Moor is one of them, and Burnley will be there hosting Wolves. So, does that add a competitive edge for Burnley? Is that John saying that John's going to be there as well? But yeah, I think that adds an interesting tactical thing, because often these teams that play on smaller pitches or 4G pitches to then go and play in a Premier League Championship standard ground can be quite a different experience. So yeah, definitely adds a layer of intrigue to the game.
Good stuff. Well done. Oh, go on, he's back in again.
No, that was just me realising that I was speaking to like two lecturers. That's just Kidderminster Harriers also playing at the main ground this week as well. So that'll be a nice touch for them as well.
Lovely. Good stuff. We've managed to reduce the time in every show so far. This one's going to be by seconds by the time I've pushed end recording on this one, but we've managed it. We'll be back next Wednesday. And can't wait to have your company once again. So thank you very much. Pleasure to have you all. Cheers, Gareth. Cheers, John. And we'll see you all next week.
Thanks very much.